Hi, my name is Chris Durham. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week I take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and I talk about the film in that chapter and I make the drink associated with it. Today we are going to be looking at the film from 1947, Ride the Pink Horse, and making the drink the Don Rael Margarita. Now, Ride the Pink Horse, it actually sounds kind of like it's the name of a porno, and or even an act you would do in a porno, but it's actually, I think, the name of the novel that it was based on. It was written by Dorothy Hughes, who is a pulp writer who really should be mentioned in the same breath as people like Dashiell Hammett and Cornell Woolrich, but really isn't, probably because she was a woman. But she has some very good novels that were made into some very good noir films. It was produced by Joan Harrison. Now, Joan Harrison was a protege of Alfred Hitchcock, and he hired her as a secretary, and she had such a good way with scripts that he ended up, having her help out with scripts, and she later went on to produce her own movies, including this one. And she, in the 50s, he turned to her when he was doing Alfred Hitchcock Presents and made her one of the executive producers of the series. So she's like, she learned from the master, and definitely learned from the master. The screenplay was written by Ben Hecht and Charles Lederer. Now, Ben Hecht had done screenplays for films like Notorious for Hitchcock, and Charles Lederer had done things like Jennifer Blondes. Really tight, good script. Now, it's directed by and stars Robert Montgomery. Now, the only other film I'm aware of that I've seen that was directed by Robert Montgomery was Lady in the Lake. And I think this one is way better than Lady in the Lake. I kind of felt like Lady in the Lake was encumbered by that first-person subjective shooting style, whereas this one just tells a straight story. And I think that's one of the real strengths of this movie, is that it definitely unfolds the story and it makes it interesting, but it also does it in a very visual way. So, the first couple of minutes that kind of set everything up, hardly a word of dialogue is spoken, but the story just keeps moving. It's really well done. Now, along with Robert Montgomery, you have Thomas Gomez, who is an actor who often played a member of, hoodlum gang, or maybe a dirty cop, or that type of thing. He plays a drunk, kind of a drunkard, either Mexican American or Mexican national. The film takes place in a small town in New Mexico when they're having a big fiesta. So the town is completely overrun by tourists, both Anglos who are coming in to see the fiesta, and booking up all the hotel rooms, and then both Native Americans and Mexican nationals coming across the border, and it's totally overwhelming this town. So it's completely packed for while this fiesta is going on. Thomas Gomez, he plays kind of a drunkard who befriends Robert Montgomery when he doesn't have a place to sleep because he can't get a hotel room, and he kind of lets Robert Montgomery buys everybody in this little cantina a drink, and Thomas Gomez, who plays Pancho, finds a bed for him for the night in the little shack he sleeps in. He normally runs a merry-go-round for children. It's hard to tell whether he's doing that year-round or just during the fiesta, but anyway, the film has just a lot of people that you've known from other movies. The story involves Robert Montgomery. He's a veteran back from the war. His friend has been killed by a gangster, and the gangster is played by Fred Clark, who you would know from, I always think of him from Sunset Boulevard. He plays the movie producer that William Holden goes to try to try to borrow money from him, and he can't do it because he mortgaged one house to pay for his other house, and his last movie was a flop, and he said no to Gone with the Wind because who would want to see a Civil War picture? So anyway, but he's one of those guys that's been on a lot of films, very memorable, and he pops up in TV a lot too. You see him on things like the Beverly Hillbillies and that sort of thing. At least I think so. Hopefully he didn't die right after this movie and make me a liar. Anyway, let's see. Who else? A lot of familiar faces that you don't necessarily know the names of. Looking at that guy and go, oh, that was Humphrey Bogart's agent in A Lonely Place. And so a lot of the movie you're doing that type of thing, going through spotting these people. The main female in this is an actress named Wanda Hendricks, and she's a Mexican national who comes across the border. She seems to be very young, like probably 15 or 16, maybe even younger than that. She's very short, and they don't make any effort to make her the size of the actors around her. I assume that's to make her look, even though she was probably 19 or 20 when she made this. It's kind of they do. I'm assuming they do that to make her seem like she is like only 15 or 16 or 14 and 15, something like that. But she kind of sees the mark of death on Robert Montgomery when she sees him the first time, and then after that she kind of follows him around to protect him, and actually does. She kind of pulls his fat out of the fire a couple of times. Really tight, well done movie. This is one of those movies that I'm sure Eddie Muller loves to show at his film festivals, because I know he could probably pull this one out and probably have 80% of the audience had not seen it before. I think I had seen this once before. I think he showed it on Noir Alley, but I didn't really remember it until I got into it, and it's not one you see a lot. And it should be. I mean, it should be up there with a lot of other great film noirs, because it's on that level. It's that good. I know I'm kind of raving now, but I really think this is just a first-rate, good film noir that really is one that gets everything it can out of the film and is really worth your time seeking out and watching. So anyway, we're going to make the Don Rael Margarita. Now, the Don Rael Margarita isn't really a traditional margarita, although maybe it is more of a traditional margarita. It's not what you think of when you think of a margarita. Margaritas have kind of evolved into kind of this slurpy concoction with salt on the rim of the glass. And I'll probably do salt on the glass, but it's not the frozen blender drink that we often think of as a margarita. It's more like a traditional margarita. And so we're going to make that when we come back. So I hope you stick around for that. Thanks. And we are back. So this is a shaker drink. So we're going to start by loading up our shaker. Turn my... Okay, and we are going to start with 3/4 of an ounce of añejo, and I'm using small bottles because I just bought a huge bottle of tequila and I'm running out of room in my bar. So 3/4 of an ounce. There we go. And then we're going to top that off with 3/4 of an ounce of Reposado, which both are aged tequilas. Añejo is aged a little bit longer. And there's our 3/4. And then next up, we have Citronge. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, which is a tequila-based orange liqueur. And we've got 1/2 ounce of that. And Then we've got a 1/4 ounce of Grand Marnier. And we've got a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. A little bit more. Okay. All right, now we're going to give that a good shake. Okay, now, and then it goes in a double old-fashioned glass. I just got a new one at WonderCon, which has all these cool things of the creature from the Black Lagoon on it. And I'm just going to use, well, I thought I was just going to use one big rock of ice for that. Actually, I'm going to take that out real quick because I'm doing something different. So Eddie was saying that he doesn't normally do salt on the rims of his glasses on margaritas, and I've learned something kind of new where this isn't working super well, where basically you just kind of put salt on one edge of the glass, and then people, if they want the salt, they can have the salt. If they don't want the salt, they don't have to have it. So, and I do not have my strainer, so I'm going to put my rock back in, and I'm just going to strain it like this. And we have the Don Rael Margarita, and a strainer just showed up, but we're done. And we're going to garnish with a wheel of lime, and we're going to give it a shot. So let's see, I'm going to try it first without the salt. Cheers. Ooh, I like that. Now let's see what it tastes like with the salt. Oh, that is really good. That is really good. You're probably going to want to like tequila. The tequila is pretty forward on this, but you're getting the flavor of the tequila, not being overwhelmed by it. It's definitely not boozy. It's just really nice. I like that a lot. So, from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we're enjoying a nice Don Rael Margarita. I hope you can join us. Hope you can join us next time. Cheers.